What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Console Kids Podcast. That's better. So today we have a special guest, and we're going to be talking about a couple different topics today. I'm going to need you to do a couple favors for me as we go through this episode. I'll remind you when the favor comes, and then we can jump right into the topic. We're going to be talking about Sega Sonic is totally coming from Arcade1up. They're going to do a Sonic the Hedgehog arcade release. This is what most of the community believes based on leaks that came out this week. But will they do Marvel vs. Capcom 2? We're going to discuss that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're watching on the replay, give me a comment down below what you think about all the different topics that we talk about. Give me your view. Maybe I'll respond in the discussion. I usually do, especially when there's like a question or you have a really cool thought. I would, love to have a dialogue with you. Also, those in the live chat want to hear from you. What is going on, Bob and Console Fanboy? Super J wants to talk about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But before we go any further, we got to talk about the special guest. What do we got? Your average gamer is here tonight.
What up?
What is going on? Surprise guest. Now, this is my favor. You gotta do me a favor, because listen, your average gamer, I know where you're at. When Ralph and I spun off 1UP Weekly to its own channel, it was tough. Do you know why? It's like when you get a new special channel, you gotta announce to the world, we have a special channel now. So do me a favor. In the live chat there, I want you to click on that channel. Show UAG some love. I hit submit. I don't know why it's not going through.
There it goes.
No, it says there it is. Okay. So it's so check out his channel, and he does a podcast every Wednesday, and show his channel some love, because it is a dedicated channel just for your, it's not a podcast. It's a party, right?
Damn Skippy it is. Damn Skippy it is. You going out through that whole week, and you get to hump day.
There you go.
Have a little something, a little delight.
That's right. Say. All right. So today we're going to be talking about, where do you want to start, man? So we had a couple different topics that we discussed.
Let's talk about what everybody's talking about right now. Be honest with you. Everybody's super hype about this damn Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And rightfully so, because this was in the doghouse for a little bit. It hasn't been on a console for like forever. There was so much talk about how hard it is to get this license deal done. And if the rumors, if the leaks are true, and they've done this is something pretty spectacular. So this is a big deal.
Right.
So I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so for those that don't know about this, it was earlier, what was it, about a week or so ago, there was a leak on Gamefly of all places. So Gamefly.com had like this leak of titles. And it said, to be fair, it said Marvel versus Capcom, uppercase I, right? Like Roman numeral I, or what was it? Was it 2 1s? But they were using a font that was just like a line. So we read it as Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now, is it Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Or is it Marvel vs. Capcom 1 Part 2? That's another theory, right? So where do you sit on all these theories of... Now, just we can separate. There's the leak, and then there's actually what Arcade1up's going to do. I'd love to get your opinion on this, Nick. Could you, what's your opinion on the leak? Like just the leak. What does the leak say to you?
I'm going to say right now that I think the leak is 100% accurate. I think everything that's on there is coming out.
Even Marvel versus Capcom 2.
I believe
wow.
That everything. But I believe Marvel versus Capcom 2. I just think that the writing's on the wall. John D has been like a cheerleader in all the chats. Free Marvel versus Capcom 2. And he loves to like leave us little breadcrumbs all over the place. Right. And then you could archive some of his comments or interviews and be like this. See, I told you, like,
right.
I'm not hiding it. This is in plain sight. I said this was going to happen. And this happens.
So here's a good question. Is there a Marvel versus Capcom 2? Do you know if it's a full roster is unlocked? Because if it isn't, it will take years to unlock them all manually. But let's break out this question into two things, because this is something we were talking about before. Is it possible that we're going to get a watered down version? Have you heard this theory that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is coming, but it's like, remember how NBA Jam came out? It was kind of like a watered down version of NBA Jam. It didn't have all of the characters, but it had like, what, 80, 90%?
I would say that the majority of this is probably going to be like 95% if they can't do it 100%. I think John D prides himself, and the company prides himself on giving you the best representation of what the arcade ROM provided.
Right.
And
I think
so there might be some, hurdles that they have to jump over to give it to us,
Right. Yeah, I would expect that if there's any challenges with the IP itself, right? You got Disney, it's Disney Marvel, right? And then Capcom, and then whoever owns the very specific licenses for this game. With the characters and all, like, it's possible they can't get the rights for everything. There's some interesting theories about that, but here's another take on it, right? It's Marvel versus Capcom 2. Is this a game that's going to be exclusive to Arcade1up? Is it more possible that the free MVC2 movement, it's not really for Arcade1up, right? The community for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is bigger than John D. It's bigger.
Huge. It's huge.
Right.
Yeah. This is what I think would happen. I think there's going to be a period of exclusivity, maybe a year.
Yeah.
Year 2, the consoles get it, and the doors are blown off the hinges.
Yeah. It's funny, if you think about it, that means Arcade1up is the Netflix of the home arcade, if you will. And Netflix came out they've been around for a long time, but their streaming business really picked up about 10 years ago. And now all Disney Plus has their own app, right? It's their content on their platform. They own all the technology for that IP. Universal is a big company. They own Peacock, right? So they're kind of taking business away from Netflix, and Netflix is now making their own content. If that's true, is it going to become like Capcom? I don't think the business is big like this, but it's interesting. The reason why I bring that up is because, I'm in the streaming business, and I used to work for the company Stars, the channel Stars.
Yes.
And they got the majority of their content from Sony. So we had X-Men, which, what was it? Sony had the digital rights for X-Men back in the day, and Spider-Man, of course. They
still have some of the Spider-Man movies exclusively on theirs.
That's right. And so they were really, buying up content from all these different places and trying to compete with Netflix. But they would get exclusives, right? So even when some of these other companies came out with their own streaming app, they had to make deals to kind of be like, give us the exclusive back, because that's our show and we want it on our platform. But here's the thing, Arcade1up, they potentially, I think, are going to start competing with like who's going to get the exclusive for Marvel versus Capcom? Wouldn't you want to not do an exclusive if you were Capcom and Disney? Wouldn't you want to be like, we're putting that everywhere?
Well, I mean, in theory, you do. So that's why it's only, for a certain period of time.
I see.
Like, here's a year. After that, it's all out. And, that's not something that hasn't happened before. It happens on Steam. Absolutely. It happens on PlayStation. And right now, I think Arcade1up is more of to prove that there's interest in a product. Kind of like the Turtles. The Turtles came out.
Yep.
Then they went over to being online. It started getting popular. They're like this. Konami's like, dude, we can make money off of this old IP. We've been sitting on this shit forever. Why not release it our own?
Yeah, I think it's just the end of the year we're going to get this, right? I think and this is a great deal, right? Like this Cowabunga collection. It's the first time I looked at any brand new. So it's existed in the past that Arcade1up makes titles that you can play on other platforms. That's existed before, right? And then there's those they're competing with piracy, for example. I can just play that however I want. But this is an interesting one where Arcade1up has several Turtles cabinets, and now something new comes out from Konami, right? That's like kind of blows away in terms of games, right? In terms of games, This has 13, 14 games on it. All the ones that are in the Arcade1up plus so much more. And so this kind of shows, it's almost like Arcade1up did have the exclusive for a while. No one else was producing Turtles in Time and the original.
Not online. Not online, right?
Yeah, not online.
So now you get this collection, $40, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can have a $750 unit that takes up a lot more real estate in your room. If you're someone like a Michael B that got 20 arcade cabinets, you wish that you didn't have this 2-player, that takes up double the space. You can get rid of that and get 2 more cabinets in there. So
yeah, and for sure. And I think it's different markets. It's not like everyone's buying Arcade1up cabinets just to play these games, and they're like, no, it's like they want a game room. They want the arcade experience. That reminds me, what about Pac-Man, right? We were talking about this before, where now, here's the thing, Pac-Man, the arcade versions were all over Arcade1up. And now there's this new one coming out, right? This Pac-Man Museum that was just announced. 14 titles. The legendary Pac-Man. There's a really cool thing right here we saw in the video. Right here. It's like you're Pac-Man and you literally are walking around to different arcade games to play. I know it's a small feature, but that's really cool. And it looks like it's going to have leaderboards, and this is going to be available on, various platforms, right? And it has the arcade titles, right?
I mean, it has all the arcade titles that is probably going to be on the Legacy cabinet, right?
Well,
so
it's a mix. I mean, Pac-Mania, Pac-Land, Pac-Pal, Super Pac-Man, Pac-Man. I don't see any Ms. Pac-Man, and there's a handful of.
That's not on the Legacy cabinet, right? You're never going to see them put those together. At least not as of yet. That's probably the end game.
Yeah. I think so. It's like the definitive version, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting. So what can Arcade1up offer us? And I think that's an interesting discussion, because have you seen closely on the Golden Tee? Have you watched some of the reviews of Golden Tee? In Golden Tee, what the big reveal that I saw was that it's not just leaderboards, it's leaderboards in a ton of categories. It's like they tested the water, and they did this before, right? Think of what happened when they came out with the coin door that was just a sticker. Do you remember that? How did people react to the sticker?
Everybody said, this is awesome, this is what we wanted, but we want more. This looks bootleg. We need the real deal. And they listen. That's one thing you got to say. 1UP listens to at least what they see. Like, we wanted light up marquees. We started going to third party. They're like, shit, we could do that.
Yeah.
You want coin doors? We could do that. Everything that other people were doing. At the end of the day, we're probably going to get, screw covers. We're probably going to get other things because we're going through other means to get it done.
Right. Now, I did hear from John that when the plastic molded coin doors came out, there was a meeting, and they're like, well, okay, we'll try it. We'll try it. We'll see how the community reacts. And then when the first one came in, everyone was like, really? That's freaking awesome. Like, that looks real.
It looks real.
It looks real. So, and I guess it was unanimous. They're like, yeah, we're doing this corn door. Let's do it on more cabs.
I'm sure there was probably on the fence, like, is it gonna,
right.
Do people really want this?
Right.
Are they willing to spend the money for it? And hey, the numbers show.
I think that's what we're going to see more and more of, is them doubling down in the area that they're seeing success, right? So this is Wi-Fi everywhere, coin doors everywhere, leaderboard everywhere. We're going to see 2.0, 3.0 version of the leaderboard, I think, on all of this newer stuff, because maybe that's how they can differentiate between, this Pac-Man game's not going to give you a coin door, right?
Oh, for sure. But it's funny that you said about the leaderboards and Golden Tee. It looks like they're doubling down. Like, look at the first iterations of their leaderboards, like on Tron. It's like either you're playing it on the hard version or you're playing it on the lower down version. And what's the high score? They said, "Oh, you guys like that? Well, look what we're gonna do. We're gonna double it down. What's the farthest you hit a thing? What's your best score? Who did this? Who did this on what hole?" So they're just going to double down on it because that's what they want to have more interaction on the units.
Right.
Get
now,
people on there.
I think they do a lot of tests, and we got to say it loud and clear when we're like, no, doc, nope, not buying it. And it's this right here. It's the Shaq. It's like, I've thought about this, man. What's your thoughts on it? Like, I'll tell you my thoughts, okay? And then I'll try not to influence you. It's going to be hard, but when I first saw the Shaq edition, I was mainly focused on how it's XL, right? XL is cool. XL is a good option for the community. We haven't seen it. The closer you can get to a real arcade, the better. But the Shaq edition? Really? You're going to put Shaquille O'Neal on it? Like, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so like you, I was more excited about the form factor. Like, this is what I'm excited about. This is what I wanted. The game, I could care less. I'm okay with the one that we already have.
Right.
But the more you're thinking about it, like, to Shaq in the 90s, Shaq was big. I mean, only person bigger, of course, was Michael Jordan, maybe Kobe Bryant as well. But Shaq was on Pepsi commercials, clothing commercials, his own shoe line. He's everywhere.
He's a shill.
Right now, he's the biggest shill. Like, he's selling you ring, shill. He's selling you ink, he's selling you gold bond, whatever he can put his hand on. He's selling
Arcade1ups. He doesn't care.
Listen, and his name still rings, bell. He hasn't been in the NBA for what, 20 years?
Yeah,
but he's still relevant. He has a television show. He's on TNT. He has a podcast. He's on everything.
He's on memes all over the place, wiggling around, thinking.
So, I mean, if you are trying to get your name out there, if you're Arcade1up and you want to be a household name, what better way than having a a celebrity that's a household name? Everybody know who Shaq is.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I just don't feel. I feel like it's the Terminator 2. The Terminator 2 cabinet is, I think, a good cabinet, but not everyone's gonna buy it. It's like it's so narrow that they've limited the customer base that's gonna want it. Like, I would get the Terminator 2 if I was a huge Arnold fan. I love Arnold. He's a cool guy, right? But, like, I don't have posters on my wall of every movie that Arnold has. But someone who does is totally going to buy Terminator 2, the arcade game, more for the game, or less for the game, more for Arnold. Like, he's literally on the side of it, right? That's, like, a perfect target audience for that game. And I'm like, oh, it's the same for Shaq. It's like, if you're a huge Shaq fan, you're probably going to want this cabinet.
If you're a huge Shaq fan, or if you're a huge NBA fan, or just sports in general, like the guy who has the perfect man cave is probably going to want to have this and probably Golden Tee right next to it in his man cave.
Yeah, I could buy it for the diversity of games. Yeah, I guess. I mean, NBA Jam is a really cool game, and maybe you would buy Blitz for the same thing, but what are they going to do to screw up Blitz, right? Like, are they going to put, like, in my opinion, right, it's like they could have done the NBA Jam. They could have even called it the Shaq edition, but, like, didn't put Shaq on it. If that makes sense. Like, it's the XL, it's the big one.
Well, recently with Think Up, doing that interview a month or two back, the people have a lot of say so in what the arcade unit is, and I'm sure Shaq was like, I'm not gonna co-sign off of this unless my image is on here.
Totally fair,
hands down. So, they probably, I'm sure Arcade1up was like, do we really want to have that? Let's make it just look the same and just huge. He's like, nah, I need Shaq on it. And so, unfortunately, when you get into those, partnerships, sometimes you gotta lean with what they're saying. You
Yeah,
want it to go
maybe.
through.
I mean, if I was sitting there, I mean, maybe it's a lot of the cabinets that came out before, I think, attract a wide audience. So I guess I question it every single time I look at a cabinet going, why are you targeting a very niche audience, right? And maybe you're right. Maybe it's like, yeah, we'll make 10,000 of these and we're not going to sell 100,000, just 10,000 maybe. And it's more about a publicity stunt and it's more about marketing and getting our name out there.
Publicity, marketing.
Yeah.
And more probably like proof of concept. I think if they could show that, listen, look at the popularity of this, people want it, then other IPs were like, I want to have a XL edition, or they can prove it to their people, their high ups, that hey, we should all have a certain amount of cabinets that come out in XL. You got to believe, like, you're not going to do an XL and a Pro. It's going to be either or, and they're trying to see which one is going to be more of a value brand.
For sure. We've been talking about that for years, right? You and I, like this idea that Arcade1up definitely tests the water. You know, it's like let's see if this works. Let's see if that works. And maybe you're right. Maybe the Shaq edition is a test. It's a market test. Like if you're going to try out an XL, do it on a marketing publicity stunt, because if it fails, you'd be like, hey, it's just a marketing publicity thing.
You got to believe, like, another Pac-Man is going out, and they may not make a Pro Pac-Man, but they can make an XL Pac-Man. They can make it an XL Pac-Man. It's happening.
I'm going to buy one if they come out with an XL Pac-Man. I own a real Pac-Man, Cabaret. But if they came out with an XL Pac-Man, I would have to buy it. Like, I'm obsessed with Pac-Man for some reason.
I think I'm Pac-Man out, but I'm sure that Arcade1up is already thinking about it. It's a cash cow. It's what keeps the lights on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's very true. So, wrapping up the MVC to Shaq. So what do we think? We think MVC... Oh, let's try this. Okay. Will Arcade1up... Okay. Right? Do a big... Don't reveal yet, Nick, okay? Do a big 0 and do a 1 for yes, okay? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. All right, close your eyes, Nick. All right, so... Will Arcade1up come out with Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the next 24 months? Close your eyes, put up your answer, raise your hand, open them. Put up your hand. Okay. All right. I think they will come out with it. They'll find a way because the hype is there. What do you think? Why do you think?
I have no doubt that this is happening. I think the technology wise it's there. No.
Not even a little.
The reason why is because it seems like there's too much talk. When there's that much talk about something, the smoke is there. I just don't see it. Like, I have more doubt that the NFL Blitz is happening.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. Super King thinks we're crazy. Frank thinks we're crazy. Bob thinks we're crazy. Sweet Machine thinks we're crazy. But Chucky is in. Constorm is in. Reset Rudy is in. Bill is in. Lubby is in. Claxa. I think there's more people in than out.
Yeah. But
let's see. Discussion. Hold on for a second. I think those XL cabs will not fit in a lot of people's spaces. People cannot fit a line of those XL along their walls the way they can with regular Arcade1ups.
That's true. And that's why I don't think that they're abandoning the 3/4 scale. I think they're trying to get at every price point they could possibly get it.
Pac-Man everywhere. And then Pac-Man, this is their new motto for sure. Pac-Man at every size. We're going to do 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, quarter scale. You know, every 7/8, we're going to do Pro, XL, Pac-Man everywhere. And we'll bring on a lot of other titles along the way. Hey, maybe NFL Blitz, maybe Marvel.
We got Couchcade, so everything's covered.
All right, Couchcade is coming. Do you think the Couchcade's going to be any good?
I think Couchcade is going to be that this year's Christmas gift. I think it's going to blow up. I think it's going to blow up on QVC.
Yeah.
Like the Partycade was.
Like the Partycade. Yeah. That is a really good theory. Okay, so early in the show, I asked everyone to do a favor. For those of you who just joined, I want to make sure everyone knows. I'm going to paste a link in the chat here. Click on the chat link in here. This is Nick's new podcast. It has its own channel. Whenever a YouTuber creates a separate channel for a dedicated show, which isn't a podcast, it's a party, it's difficult to get the word out there.
It is.
I did it.
You would
with
think
One
that
Up Weekly.
anybody that was just
really
sub to me would go there. It's not like that. It's not. You
can never get 100%, right? It's always going to be smaller. It's always a fraction.
Yep. So I appreciate you guys signing up over there, baby.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, I invited Nick on the show. He didn't ask. And I told him I wanted to help him out. He didn't ask. I'm saying that so it doesn't sound like Nick is just, what do you call it? Like shilling
for myself.
Shilling for myself, yeah. All right. Goofy Foot with a $5 super chat. He says, I'm about done with the Bubba 1-Up drama. What's the Bubba 1-Up drama? I got their coin doors right here. I hope I did it in the best Goofy Foot voice. I think I nailed it, to be honest.
I mean, I've never heard him, so it sounds pretty good to me.
This is what he sounds like. He says, I'm about done with the Bubba 1-Up drama. The Bub? Is it Bubba 1-Up or Bub a 1-Up drama? I got their coin doors right here. That's what he sounds like. All right. So CC Jason, I think he's onto you. He's onto your theory of this QVC.
Dude, that is a QVC product if I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Like
you're
that Bed Bath and Beyond, those places, like you go in there, they're sitting right there at the register, like, come get this 1-Up countercade, baby. Every grandma's buying this for their grandkid. I can't tell you that.
Yeah, that's good. I thought that was what the Mega Man was going to be. I got all hyped and excited. I was like, it's a cheap little... And I bought one, and I'm like, I'm not sending it to
Well, you know what it was? They went too cheap on that controller.
Yes.
They went too cheap on that controller. It was a great concept.
Yeah.
But that controller, I think, sunk it.
Well, see, think about it. That's what this Couchcade is. It is the Mega Man, but with a really good controller. It's an arcade controller. That the Couchcade, the other part of the dongle, is basically the Mega Man. You know,
they just repurpose it, reshelled it, and that's it. You know, or the giant joystick. They use the same that same tech.
Right.
It's really cool when you think about it, because there's going to be people that don't have the space, or like my dad. He's older. Plug that thing in. He's sitting on a couch playing. Simple plug and play.
It's a pretty cool thing. Did you do me a favor? We're increasing your sub count live right now. They're listening. This is really cool. Okay, I'll stop. Well, we're going to talk about something else.
We got Wolf and Nose, bro. What up, Wolf? One of the best freaking image makers out there.
There we go. Remember those NES Bible games? They can throw that. Why not? Console Fanboy with Super Chat. Laundromat Wars is my favorite show. Amazing fun vibes. That's what Zohar does. He just runs ads on people's channels. We're just ad
he can't help himself.
Yeah, you can't. All right, so let's talk about the Sega cabinet. So Arcade1up is totally coming out with the Sega cabinet. I don't think it's actually going to look like this. Like, there's another version of the Galloping Ghost Sega Sonic. But this is the Galloping Ghost Sega Sonic. It's got trackballs. And this is kind of from Big Reese. Big Reese had a leak. He's got a couple recently down in Australia. It's based on retailers, right? So you had The Simpsons for a minute, right? So what'd you think of that trackball?
be honest with you, it was pretty good. Even though it
Mm-hmm.
was smaller, I thought that it was not gonna be so reactive, but it was pretty good. I liked the trackball. I just wish it was online. And
Yeah.
I believe now with Arcade1up's mindset, everything's gonna be online.
Yeah, that's what. This is going to be an interesting thing because they're getting into online. They're doing the leaderboards. We know that Sonic has been leaked. Sega Sonic was an arcade that was in Japan, and I made all these mistakes in my videos. I apologize for anyone in the chat can spot out any of the mistakes from my Sega Sonic video. Please put them in the chat right now. Just type in mistake. He said this, and I'll highlight you. I'm not perfect, but anyway, what do you think about this leak? Like Sega and Sonic, I think there's a group of people out there that are like, it doesn't belong in the arcade. Sonic doesn't deserve an arcade cabinet. And others are like, Sonic is next to Mario, one of the biggest IPs. Not it's not Pac-Man, but it's up there.
So I'll say this to those individuals. Sonic is a mascot of Sega. That's like equivalent of Mario to Nintendo, right? So there is a lot of nostalgia for little Sega fanboys. I could see a Sega fanboy wanting this. You know, they had arcade, but it was in Japan. So why not bring that nostalgia to us over here? Might be the first time you ever play it, but these games are gonna be cool. But what I was thinking,
what do you think
about this here, right?
Hold on.
It's like what?
See if I can get you.
What is the what is the purpose of this? Well, you got a movie coming out like real soon,
right?
You got Sonic the movie coming out,
right?
Look at the pattern here. Mortal Kombat is coming out.
There you go.
Let's hold that release to that Mortal Kombat till the movie comes out. Boom. Maybe a reason why we didn't hear anything about Dragon Slayer is because they were waiting for the time for Dragon Slayer information to come out, the Netflix movie. So there's reason, there's reason behind it. You get free advertisement, push this out further than what it was already going to have if they just did it by itself. I think that this is truly coming out is going to be exciting times. I mean, me personally, I'm a Nintendo fanboy. But I know a bunch of Sega people, maybe a Dreamcast Kyle, maybe he'll jump on.
There we go. Right? Yeah, I think that's an interesting theory like this. But here's the thing. This is kind of where it all falls apart for me though. And I think this is why. It's the answer why. It's kind of like all the leaks have been a roller coaster. It's been what's the right word? Kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out in the chat. It's the word that means there's certain people that believe this, and it's like creating conflicts, what's the word I'm looking?
Division within the community.
Like a division within the community. Right here. Because people want Virtual Fighter or Tekken, right? And if it makes Sega happy, do it. But it's like not something that's on our hit list, right? It's a game that we didn't say, oh man, if they could do Sega Sonic with Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 in it, I would totally buy it. Like it's just not on our list.
Hear this theory for me. Hear this out.
Okay.
So let's say that leak, GameFly leak is legitimate, and those three big titles. You got the Marvel vs. Capcom, you got the Time Crisis 2, and you got the Blitz come out. If you had a Tekken or if you had a Virtual Fighter, first of all, those two would probably get lost in that shuffle. And then what's going to be your heat for next year? You got to think about the long road. If you bring all that heat on 1 year, then you have nothing. You have to play the long game. And I think that eventually those titles will come. And I think this Sonic thing makes more sense because of the technology that we're at, right? You can use the existing hardware that is out to emulate these games. You don't have to stress the technology to go above and beyond. we're not there yet.
So that's a good point, because what you're saying is if you came, it would be premature if they did the content today, the more advanced thing. But if you do Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, right, the number 2, which is probably gonna just really expand the retro scene even more, and then we got Mario movie coming out later. That's probably gonna help as well. But when it comes to Sega is probably thinking about what things can we do this year that are related to this movie, right? Like they're going to greenlight any positive impact into IP that are probably, gonna do synergetic things with Sonic, right? And if you wait a year or two, then you come out with Model 2 stuff, then the chipset will be less expensive. And maybe even Marvel versus Capcom 2 is a similar thing where it's like, it's kind of hard to emulate. Maybe we wait till the chipset is less expensive. You can get a more higher powered. Yeah, it's an interesting theory. Sonic pinball game.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the games, but I don't think it's going to be that one.
So there is what is it? I think I'm just thinking of Sonic 2. Like, no. I'm thinking of there's a Sonic game. It's on PS2. The Sonic for PS2 has like a pinball level. That's just awesome. Let me see if I can pull it up. And I haven't thought about that in a while. PS2 pinball. I don't think it is Sonic pinball. What does that game look like? Here's some random stream of like... No, it's not this. Yeah. Anyway, I think Sonic could be fun. I told my daughter, she was like, yeah.
Hey, and then you're introducing this game. You're probably introducing Arcade1up to the younger audience, because the younger audience is going to be the audience for the movie. So when you start seeing those other things like games, toys, and arcade units, you're probably going to bring a whole different audience to Arcade1up, and that's probably the plus for them, right?
Yeah, more dads and more moms and dads wanting to reintroduce retro games to their younger children that also like actually have an affinity to the characters now because of the movie. Yeah.
I took my son to go see the first Sonic movie. He didn't know shit about Sonic. Yeah. And he was ecstatic, and now he's excited for the second one. So it works.
They did so good on the first one. It was that whole, like, it came out and everyone hated the trailers. So they went and... See, this is what Arcade1up needs to do. When we're like, no, don't do it, they should be like, stop production. The community hates this idea. It's like Sonic 1, the bad animations.
They went back to the drawing board, came back. It was pushed out a few months, and they nailed it.
Yeah. See, I agree. Jim Carrey did save that movie, but imagine how bad it would have been if it... Part of me feels like that original Sonic movie, they knew the community would just hate it.
I think
so. You put it out on purpose really bad in a trailer.
And now you say that you listen to the community when you got it fixed.
Then you fix it, and everyone's like, oh, it's so amazing. But the artists were like already working on the better version, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't, bad publicity is good publicity sometimes too.
That's what John D needs to do. He needs to troll. Wait a second. What if that's what he's doing to us right now? What if John D is the leaker? And what he did was he went to Australia and he was like, look, guys, there's a couple YouTubers that are going to this little games shop in your database. And so when Big Reese comes around, go ahead and show him the Sega Sonic thing. The community will flip out and we'll get a gauge of whether we should do it or not. See, King Kong thinks it's right. He's the master.
Well, I'm sure. First of all, in our show, I think it was last week, we talked about, do you think that these are just, mistakes, or these are legitimized? I mean, for every year that Arcade1up has been out, there's been a leak. it's a pattern there, and it usually happens when it's the most opportune time. Like a lot of the talk this year so far was the talk track was this is all rehashes. Like I'm tired of getting the same games over and over. And 3 or 4 videos came out, and then right afterwards, boom, here's a leak with all this new shit. Now you can't say that anymore, right?
Huh. I want to believe, but then there's the whole. I did hear from John that he was like, this is what he said. He's like, so I was listening to your podcast, Justin, and I fell asleep because it was so boring, which, if you think about it, is totally believable. So far we're tracking perfectly. He had the earbuds in. He fell asleep. And then the next morning, he woke up to an alert on his phone because his phone went out of, whatever sleep. Now it's like allow alerts to come in. And it was me going live with leaks. And he said, I panicked. And then he watched it and he was panicked, which to me just means all the leaks are real. You wouldn't get panicked unless it was someone else at Arcade1up that did it without John knowing.
I think it's the New Yorker in me that suspects everybody, and I just don't believe. Like, it just seems it's too convenient.
Too convenient.
It's too convenient.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, sometimes coincidence happen, right?
It does. It does. I've been on my fair share of those, saying that I think Arcade1up is going to come out with XYZ, and it happens. And then I get in the comment section, well, I mean, you didn't guess that. I mean, John T told you. I'm like, no, he didn't. Trust me, he doesn't want this information out there, anytime sooner than not. But so coincidences do happen.
Right. So have you been following it's kind of funny. There's kind of an issue going on with the Golden Tee. I think I get mine on Wednesday or something like that. So I'll be able to pull it up. But it's the Golden Tee Arcade1up. It's the first XL cabinet. And it seems to have like ghosting on just a little bit of, I think it was in P-Dub's review, so you guys can check that out. P-Dub has 2 videos. Is the live boxing, but then he has another one that is not the live box. Well, maybe the live boxing kind of shows it, but I think it's more of his, he did like a review. Anyway, but if you check that out, it's like the viewing angles aren't great. In fact, he has an entire section. Let me pause it here. He has a section in the video that he has labeled as monitor washout issues. And it's getting me a little concerned because I have it coming out, and you can argue like, hey, you're going to be standing right in front of it. It's a 1-player game. But I feel like that's a compromise. Like you're compromising right now. You're justifying. You're like, I want it to be good because I spent $700 on it, but is it good? So I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
So I would say in most games that I probably would argue that, like, oh man, I don't want to be on an angle and I can't see it. But this game, you're going to be head on. There's no reason for you to be on an angle unless, again, this is also a game that is a party game. So you could probably have 4 or 5 people, and there might be some people on the left or you on the right of you trying to see and they can't really see it. So is it a compromise? Yes. But it's probably something going to be along the lines where the first generation cabinet, they have to find the right one.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe our second generation or the next unit, they do something about that.
What gets me nervous is I'm betting they, at least as of right now, plan on having this exact monitor on the Pro. Like this is the Pro monitor too. I really hope they're like, no, we're using BOE on the Pro. Like we're paying the extra money or whatever it is, because it really is the best on earth monitor. BOE, best on earth.
I see. Well, so especially if, like, let's say you go 19 inches on the whatchamacallit, the Time Crisis, right?
Yeah.
And this is on the Time Crisis. You're going to be on an angle. You're going to be, if that would not be a good look.
No. Yeah, I have a feeling that Time Crisis might be an interesting one because way back when John was kind of saying Time Crisis might be widescreen, like a 24-inch.
I if anyone needs that, it's that one.
Yeah, because it's Time Crisis 2 is a double screen game, right? Like when you play, I don't know if you've seen this, right? So let's look it up. So Time Crisis, so everyone in the chat can kind of like visualize this, like what we're talking about. Come on, give me some images. Okay, so what we're talking about is Time Crisis. The Time Crisis 2, right? It's like this. It's got two screens. When you play, you're playing next to each other, right? So how do you take a game that's Time Crisis 2, that the game is meant for two machines? Now, you have options. You could say you want Time Crisis 2. We'll sell you a 4x3 screen, but it's a home arcade version. Maybe it's a 5x4 because it's a 19-inch, or maybe they do a 4x3 19-inch. We'll see. And if you want the full Time Crisis experience, buy two of them, and it'll be online or something like that. You can play against each other, and it doesn't matter if you're in the same room or you're in different rooms, like Bill is talking about, or maybe linked cabs. But here's the thing. With peer-to-peer technology that Arcade1up already does, it should be able to detect that you're in the same subnet. And so it's like, hey, that it is next to me. So I'm not going to go through the router and out to the internet. All I'm going to do is go to the router and come right to the other machine. So it's peer-to-peer. But if that is in another household, then it goes out to the internet and comes back in. So you'll get, this is the linkable technology that they would use. There's no reason to have a USB cable from one to another. That'd actually be dumb. It using Ethernet or IP technology to be able to link two cabs together. That's how you do it.
So they already have the infrastructure to do these link cabinets, like a
Right.
a racing cabinet in this. Okay.
I mean, basically, Big Blue is a linkable cabinet if you think about it. Like you're playing another person on another arcade. Just put that same one in the same house, and it's just going to talk to the other machine and not. It'll go to the server for the leaderboard, right? But when you're fighting the other person, it's just going to send. It can be basically, offline. You know what I mean? Like it only needs the internet just to make that session. Okay, so you have Time Crisis. That's your first option, is you buy two machines. Your second option is you build one machine, but you make it a two-player, but you go widescreen, right? And so you put both games on one screen. And the resolution of this is not really this is technically wider than a widescreen, so you'd get a little bit of black bars on the bottom and top, a little bit of bezel, or if you will. But you can make it work, and now you're sharing one 24-inch screen, like a Legends Ultimate. But then if you're playing Time Crisis 1, Time Crisis 1 is just a single screen, and then that would kind of like take up most of the screen and just have black bars on the left and right. Or like artwork or something.
I got a question for you, Justin. If this is real and this comes out, are you concerned about the pedals? Because the racing cabinets, like, I wasn't so concerned, but I just think that you're going to be a little bit more aggressive.
That's a fair point. I don't think there's this idea that and 19K Fox said this on his podcast, great podcast as well. He's like that they have everything they need to do a Time Crisis, and that's right? Like you take Big Buck Hunter, you take Ridge Racer, and you take put them together, you basically have Time Crisis, right? But this is a different foot pedal. That's my only. I agree I don't think they're going to use the foot pedal from the racing games on Time Crisis, because this is different foot pedal. Like if you look at it, right, it's like a volume pedal, if you will.
Pedal. But I just hope that they use better materials, something that's with endurance to it.
Yeah, I wonder if those pedals are basically 3/4 scale pedals, if you will. And then you go XL, and you're like, oh, well, that's where, we're spending more money. It costs more money, and we'll do something a little bit more. But you're right. You're going to stomp on it, right? It's a stomp pedal.
Yeah. And I could see you putting a little, because when you're driving, like you're easing in on it or whatnot. Here you're stopping on this bad boy to get a reload, and you're going to get excited. And I don't know. It's worrisome for me.
Yeah. No, it's a valid point. All right, so earlier in this episode, I told you all that I need you to do me a favor. We're going to take another quick break for this favor, and that is, what is it? So down in the, I'm trying to help out Nick here because he spun off his channel to a special, its own dedicated channel. The weekly retro party is on its own channel now. It's separate, and we're trying to get the news out. And so right now he's gaining more subscribers. Any more subscribers will help. The most important thing is if you're interested in his content, know that he has a separate channel now that's dedicated to the party that's every Wednesday, where you guys have it's a party. Everyone's invited, right? It's a party that
Everybody's invited, baby.
Everybody's invited. Yeah, and Moat's like, if you sub to the channel, you can see UAG get roasted on a daily basis. Dude, I can do impressions so well. Look at that. Bam. Thank you so much, everyone, jumping over and remembering that this is a separate channel now that UAG is doing his show on. So, all right. So before we wrap up, I have a question for you.
Holla at me.
Tell me about yourself, Nick. Tell me. Where did it all begin? Let's start at the beginning.
The beginning. You want to laugh? The beginning was with you and Ralph, bro. To be honest with you, watching your shows.
I thought we were going to start
highly entertaining.
So I came out of my mom, and I was like,
"Nah, that's going too far back. That's going too far back." But when you're watching all these shows, and you're like, "Man, I have a different insight. I wish someone would have a voice like mine." And so I said, what better way to do it than do it your damn self?
Why not?
That's what basically happened,
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was cool to get your voices heard and have being able to represent someone that probably wasn't being represented before.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's both awesome to hear and to say that I got to play like a tiny little role in that. I do want to say there was something special about One Up Weekly, and I've talked to other people about it. It was more than Ralph and I. It was the community, and just everything about it was really fun and exciting. There we go, bro. We're getting there. Keep it up, everybody in the chat. If we can get to 200, dude, I would just go.
I would be ecstatic my damn self.
I would be. Let's get you your average gamer here, Nick. Let's get his channel. There's like plenty in the chat here. All we got to do is get 15 more. 50. If just say yes, I'm gonna click the link real quick. Come over, and we'll have a party on Wednesday, man. Can I come on Wednesday? Come on.
There's a seat at the table for you. But I got a question for you.
Okay.
What made you do this? I mean, what's that? You know what? I want to jump into this. I know you been in the hobby with doing console kits, doing kits and stuff like that. What made you come over to Home Arcades and start this channel?
Okay, I'll show you real quick. This is my inspiration. All right. So there was a podcast called the Retro Roundtable with RetroRGB, and let's see, they did a recent one, HD Retrovision. These guys are awesome. I've met most of them at conferences. I took over the website of RetroRGB, so I helped maintain that. But these guys really helped me out. Every single one of them on here I've worked with in some way or another, and they gave me plenty of advice. But they had this roundtable podcast back. This is their last year. They did something special for, but this was like 2016, 2017. And it was just amazing. It was just fantastic. And I thought I would love to do that one day. So they were a huge inspiration. The content style was not like One Up Weekly or what we do, but they were just nerding out, talking about gaming. But they also didn't do it very often. And there was 5 of them. And it kind of just dwindled away because it's really hard to get 5 people to get together that already have a busy schedule. And when I reached out with Ralph for One Up Weekly, he was like, we'll do like a whole bunch of people. I'm like, no, it's just us, dude. Just 2 people. It's hard. Get 3 people, it's going to be nearly impossible. Even as it is, Ralph and I could only do it for like a year or so with just the 2 people. But we were consistent when we were doing it. So that was a huge inspiration. And I have one more inspiration I'll tell you. Probably one of the biggest inspirations for this channel is Star Wars Theory. Star Wars Theory is a huge... If you watch my content way back in the day, when I'm all like, let me tell you about Arcade1up, and I was like zooming in on pictures, go look at Star Wars Theory whenever he does like comic book story ones. Like, that's his style, you know? I borrowed like his style and then just did these little theory videos for Arcade1up, like this one, right? Well, this is all him talking. He's switched to just talk to the face. But basically, inspirations like that, Retro Roundtable, Star Wars Theory, I watch them and have like a really good time, and I really enjoy it. And I thought, similar to you, I was like, I have a voice.
It's funny like that, like how, the people who inspire us, like between you and whatchamacallit, and Retro Ralph with the One Up Weekly. Also, there was a YouTuber by the name of John Campia, who's a film critic. And those 2 individuals, like, again, totally different spectrums, totally different audiences, but they inspired you to have your voice be heard. And it's funny that you got that guy from Star Wars series.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, I still watch him. He's it's probably why I love doing leak videos, because he'll do these like leak videos on the new like Obi-Wan, and I've been watching those like crazy, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And then literally like I hear about these leaks and I'm like, could I do leaks and excite my audience into the leaks? Like, would they be excited like I'm excited? I don't know. Whatever. It's kind of cool.
So were you excited when everybody was talking about, is Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in this Spider-Man movie? Because they've been talking about it for almost a year before the movie came out, and nobody was.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, almost about a year. There were like pictures, and everybody kept on saying that these are deep fakes. This is not possible. This ain't gonna happen. And everything became, was reality. It was true.
Yeah, I did hear that, they made part of the movie of Spider-Man not knowing that Toby and Andrew were going to be in it. And then they're like, okay, let's make the phone calls. And they're like, instantly they were in. Like, everybody was in, like, right away. They're like, did this just happen? Like, we got it. So P-Dubs with the super chat, he says, if you're reading this message, and I sound exactly like P-Dubs, this is what he says. Okay, guys, in the chat, I want to hear from you. If you're reading this message, you're next. Wait, I'm not doing it right. We got a super chat from P-Dubs Arcade Loft, and he says, if you're reading this message, your next step in life is subscribing to the weekly retro party. So come on, hit that link below, show Nick some love. And we're going to be hanging out on Wednesday. That's right. I just invited myself to a show. And we're going to... Dude, I'm bringing some Mountain Dew. I said this to my wife right before the show. I was like, hey, I don't think I've ever had Mountain Dew and whiskey. She's like...
That's an interesting... very interesting...
She said to me,
mix.
It's because you're not a redneck or what? I can't remember. Probably whatever she said was probably more offensive than that. I can't remember her exact phrase, but it was pretty offensive, and not to me, offensive to just an offensive saying. because you're not a hillbilly. Maybe it was hillbilly. I can't remember. And I was like, watch me. I was like, watch me.
Could have had some beer and orange juice. Had yourself a little, redneck mimosa. So I'm glad you didn't do that.
All right, that's it. We're here. It's 1:93. Let's do this, guys. It's time to turn this show into a subathon. We're 1 hour in. If you're here,
do you remember those? Like the
telethons?
Yeah, like remember the Jerry Lewis telethon?
Yeah, the telethon, right? Let's do the telethon, guys. Hit that link below. We're going to see this. We're going to start making the most annoying sound in the world until you hit that subscribe button. Wow! Come on, guys. No, come on. Let's serious now. Tell us a story, Nick, and I'll do a funny guitar lick over it. Go ahead.
The story of life. That's where we should start at.
You start at the story of life. We'll do a 1-Up Weekly. You can do the, hey guys, it's final thoughts time.
What did we learn today? Well, we learned that there's no leaks. This is all real. We learned that Arcade1up are geniuses at marketing, and we all are suckers. This is free advertisement, and that's a real thing.
Today we learned that Nick was never born. One day he just woke up and watching 1-Up Weekly.
I just popped up, baby.
What else did we learn?
We learned that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is happening, and everybody loves Sonic. Sonic is the new Mario, and nobody cares about Donkey Kong anymore. Right?
Yep.
Nobody wants Donkey Kong. We learned that Shaq is in Kazam.
Today we learned that if we bring Nick on an episode, P-Dubs will get super jealous and start super chatting a ton of money at me. Whoa, 199. We're almost there.
We're there. So,
all right.
What else did we learn, Justin? Justin, I don't like talking like this. It sounds weird.
You know what we learned, Nick? We learned that nobody likes Shaq. Nice. Except for Ink. It's just we're losing him.
I know who that was.
That was stupid. Zohar.
Damn Zohar. I told you to add your third or fourth profile.
Yeah.
Bro. Come on, man. God damn it.
All right, what's your most favorite song in the world that I would probably know how to play?
I gotta look up the name of the song because there's a song that I want you to play because in honor of the passing.
Oh, we're losing them. Everyone, you're playing a funny joke. This is just mean. It's breaking my heart. It's breaking my heart that you guys would do this live. It's breaking my heart right now. I am ashamed of you, Papa Brad. He said, just kidding. Chucky She's like, what? Someone make a burner account?
The Pretender.
Oh, come on. I can't play that.
Come on. That's a beautiful song. You can do that.
That's good. We got you to 201 now, so we did it.
Yeah, baby. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
We can do this one, though. I got another confession to make. I'm no fool. No, I can't sing that song. What am I talking about? I can't sing that loud. Rest in peace, Tony Hawkins.
Yeah, bro.
lot of fun. We got you to 206. All right, we'll see you guys on Wednesday,
buddy. Love it. Thanks, man. Peace out, guys.
He wants me to whisper the lyrics. Hello, waiting here for you.
Whisper's kind of free.
I know what he wants. He wants this. Check it out. Hey, Paul, I'm talking to you. Hello, I've been waiting here for you.
This became kind of creepy.
Come on, guys. In the chat, give me a 1 if you like this. Give me a 2 if you really like this. I'm whispering the entire show to you. Let your bodies on the floor. Let your bodies on the floor. Let your bodies on the floor. That's pretty Paul.
Man.
Everyone's left. All right, see you guys.
Peace.
All right, take care.